Hey everyone, Leo with the Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Tangiers lantern. Now you should have everything cut out, just like I do here in front of me. And we're gonna actually start off with constructing the base. So what we're gonna need to find is this piece here, okay? It's mostly constructed already. What we're gonna do is, I'm gonna fold this little flat piece back, and we're going to begin by putting glue on these little triangular tabs here. So let's do that. And just kind of dab that glue a little bit. Bring in the side. Now you can't really see it, but because I've got it covered over, but I'm just taking this little tab and connecting it with the wall right next to it. Just make sure that you've got it nice and aligned. I'll move this out of the way here for a second so you can see what I'm doing. I just put this, flipped it over so that I can get my finger here and pinch it easier. It's just a little tip to make life easier for you. Then we can move on over to the next triangular tab. And I'm just kind of hitting that with my finger a little bit to thin it out. It'll help that glue get tackier or tacky quicker, which means that there's less time waiting for things to set in place. Okay, moving right along here to the next little tab. Just gonna go down the row here. So this lantern is kind of just inspired by the architecture in Tangiers, which is a port in Morocco. I personally have never been. All I really know about Morocco is that even though it wasn't filmed there, it was based on some stuff that was going on during World War II in Morocco, which is where Casablanca was based on. So there is your next tab. You get some glue on there. Bring this next wall in and just get that aligned. You know, being summer in between all the major holidays, figured we would branch out a little bit and do something just a little different. These lanterns, these two lanterns that we have here would be great for little centerpieces, even maybe for a wedding, or anything that calls for some beautiful one-of-a-kind sort of centerpieces. You could even take and adorn these with some of our 3D flowers if you'd like as well. Okay, so there's the next one. Get that nice and lined up. Okay, and that just leaves one more here. Same process all the way around. This time you might want to take and tuck that tab in so it's easier to get it into the right spot here once we get our glue on it. And I'm just going to use a piece of scrap paper to kind of dab and spread that glue out a little bit instead of trying to force my finger in there. Okay, just lining that up with the wall right next to it and press and hold. Okay, there we go. All right, so got all the little tabs in place. Now we're going to put glue on all of these tabs and we're going to close it up. It's like a little pizza box, kind of odd shaped. Maybe they should make pizza boxes shaped like this. That'd be kind of cool, huh? All right, so get your glue on all the tabs. I'm going to take and I'm going to spread this glue out to the very edges of my tabs here. I may not have gotten enough glue on some of these as they're already kind of drying out, but it's okay. If it doesn't work, it gives the opportunity to show a little trick here. All right, so as we flip this down, try to line it up with this side first. Get that nice and centered. And then the rest of the tabs should just kind of fall into place. This one here, I need to kind of nudge the wall in a bit. Same with this. And then just press down and just kind of continue pressing down all the way around until we get it to hold. Okay, these walls need to be tucked in a bit. Okay, check your work. Make sure everything looks nice and seamless all the way around. And mine seems pretty good. I'm happy with that. Looks like I got a little bit of glue on there, but that's okay because that's actually going to be covered up here in a second. Okay, so next, what we're going to do is we have this little strip that's going to go around the edge to give this kind of a two-toned look. Okay, so it's going to go like that. So I'm going to start off with the center and find the piece that has the little tabs on each side. We need to make sure that we're using that piece first, because the other half of that is going to sit on top of those two little tabs. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. But go ahead and get your glue on this center piece here. I got a little bit too much here. My glue's acting a little wonky, even though I cleaned it out. Okay, so get that right on your piece here. Make sure that it's nice and flush with the top. This is the top, the side with the little hole. That's where our candle's going to go. And get that in there. You can kind of hold that in place while we flip this out and apply glue to the next section. And you can go ahead and put a little bit of glue on that tab too. Fold that over. Again, making sure that you keep it nice and flush with the surface here. And then you can take and fold that tab over as well. Okay, there we go. Just like that. And we can take this last tab, or this last panel I should say. Get some glue on there. Spread that thin. I went a little heavy there. And bring that over. There we go. Nice and flush with the top, just like we did before. Okay, and just keep that in place. Hold that down. You can bring that tab over as well. And give that a few seconds to set. You can see how nice that looks with this nice two-tone effect. The nice pink and the turquoise. A really beautiful color combination here. Okay, so now this piece, we're going to start off in the center here, and then when we finish it up, you can see it's going to sit on the little tabs on both sides. Okay, so get our glue on the center one, center section of this panel, and you want to make sure that you're putting it on the center, not this one or this one. Start here in the center. Okay, use the little folds as your guide. Kind of run your fingers along the top edge. Make sure that's nice and flush. Hold that down. And while you're holding that down, just take and get your glue on the remaining side here. Make sure you get some glue all the way out to the edge. And then fold that over right onto the other piece. And press that down into place. And hold that in place while we apply glue to the last little section here. And there we go. Okay, and press that down into place. Okay, perfect. All right, so that's essentially what it should look like. Make sure that that is staying put. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to take this piece and we're going to glue it together. Okay, I've already pre-folded everything, so go ahead and apply your glue to this tab here. And I'm just going to use my finger to spread that glue out across the entire tab. Grab the other side and line that up. You can technically lay this down flat and glue it down like that, so you don't have to hold it in midair. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to open this thing up and take these tabs and fold them outward, away from the inside, like so. Just like that. Okay. And we're going to take this piece, which I've embossed, just to kind of give it a little extra oomph. We'll slide it right over this piece. It should be nice and snug. Okay, there we go, just like that. And we're going to take and glue these tabs to the bottom of that little piece. You just one little line of glue should be enough. And then you can tuck it under and just push down from the outside like so. Just to help use your table, or help your table help you. I'm losing my mind here. Use your table to help you get that in place. Okay, so I got glue on there. I'm going to push it up and then press this piece down into place, like so. And then we can go over to this side here and fold that under, press that down. Okay, and this is just a little lip so that when we put the top of our lantern down, it'll kind of keep it in place and keep it from the wind blowing it over, or getting knocked over when you're moving it around. Okay, so just get that, work your way around, get all the tabs anchored like so. And I think I've got one or two more, maybe just one, I think. Pretty straightforward. There we go. Okay, double check, make sure you got all the tabs. Perfect. So now we're going to take this piece and we're just going to glue that right to the top here, like so. Just like that. Okay. So let's take and apply our glue to this entire thing. Get it on both sections. And I'm going to go a little bit heavier with the glue here because I'm going to take and I'm going to spread this glue out to the very edges, like so. And if we need to kind of clean this up a little bit, we can. Now you can see, because I embossed this, the glue is not sitting as uniformly as it normally would. So we may need to kind of play around a little bit and add some additional glue here or there to get it to sit nice and flush, but I think for the most part we'll be okay. Okay, so just kind of feel around, press that down all the way around, and there we go. Okay, so there we go. That's very nice, very simple little base, and you can see this candle will fit in there perfectly. And again, the little lip will keep everything from moving around too much. Okay, but that is our base ready to go. I'm gonna put that off to the side, and we can begin working on the main structure here. Now here is the main structure. I've done some pre-prep here just because, well, a lot of it is very repetitive, and I need you to sit and watch me do the same thing 6 times. But let's actually, one little tip I can give you is when you're doing this part, it's actually better if you don't pre-fold it. I didn't, but I did after I did these sections here. It's a lot easier if this is totally flat, because what we're doing, and I guess you don't have to add acetate to create the illusion of like windows, or glass I should say, but let's take this one step at a time here. You'll notice that on these sections here we have an additional panel that gets glued right on top of that section, and that's just to kind of give it a little extra dimension. I've already glued 1, 2, 3, 4 of these down. You're going to do this a total of 6 times. Okay, so with this piece here, it being kind of delicate along the edges, I would just do little dots. I wouldn't even try to do a line of glue. It's just going to maybe end in glue getting all over the place. Just little dots of glue will do. And we're going to just line that up with the existing pattern on these sections. Just match up the little diamond in the center, as well as the little triangles on the edges, on the corners I should say, and just press that down just like that. Okay, I'll do another one here with you. You're going to do this a total of 6 times. Okay, pretty simple so far, and the main body of the lantern is just separated into 2 segments. which is not difficult at all. We're going to be putting those together here momentarily. But definitely get these pieces on while this is flat. So much easier to work on things when they're flat, less likely to damage or bend or crease anything by doing so. Okay, so we've got those top panels in place. You can go ahead and flip this over and you can see what's going on here. These two sections here, I've already added my acetate as well as the little panel to cover the acetate. Now so you can actually do these two sections here on each one before we join this together. So go ahead and do that if you want, or you can join these together and then do them if you want. Doesn't matter. At this point, if you do not have these joined together, you can pre-prep these two sections on each one. Now that I have these two done, you can do that too. I'm going to go ahead and join these two sections together. So what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on this tab here. Okay, so get my glue on here. This is it's like a pearlescent sort of paper. Feels a little bit thicker than the standard 80-pound cardstock that we use, which is nice. It will definitely make my lantern a lot sturdier, but this will work just fine if you have 80-pound cardstock. Okay, so just on that section there, and we're going to join these two segments together to make it one. Make sure that it is nice and aligned at the bottom and press that down into place. I'm going to take and fold this over onto itself because that will allow me to make sure that I actually have it aligned more accurately. And this paper is definitely, because of the glitter on here, it is a lot more difficult to work with. So I need to be a little bit more patient. Highly unlikely that you're going to be using this kind of paper, but if you are, give yourself a few extra seconds. And it looks like I got a little glue on there. That's okay. You can always take a damp rag if you get glue on acetate and just wipe it off. It's one of the more forgiving materials when it comes to spillage of glue. Okay, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to be a little extra patient with mine. We actually used this paper on our Victorian Christmas lantern, and I recall when I was working with it, it required a little extra patience when it came to getting all the sections glued together, but it's worth it because of, well, just the effect that you get afterwards. It's nice and sparkly. Okay, so now that we have these two segments joined together, we can go ahead and finish up with the acetate as well as the little panels. So here's what I did. Now, for those of you that want, if it's easier for you, sometimes acetate can be a pain in the acetate to work with when it comes to glue. So if you have like a thin tape like this, it's a double-sided tape, you can definitely use that. I think I used it on one and I found it to be a pain in the acetate. So I'm going to just use glue, and glue works just fine. I found that using little dots is perfect and it'll work just fine. You do have to, when you apply the acetate, make sure that you lay it down accurately and try not to move it around too much. Oh, by the way, it would help to throw a few little dots in these areas as well. And just get that nice and lined up. Make sure you're covering up the cutouts and try not to move it around too much. Just drop it right in place. Okay, and then you can just take your finger very gently, run it down. Okay, so it might be hard to see. There's a reflection there. You can see the acetate in place. Okay, so at this point, I'm just going to take the little panel to cover it up and just get some glue on that. You can put glue on this entire thing without worrying about the placement of it. It's not going to show through. Obviously, that's why we created this little liner piece to cover it up perfectly. So we just need to match this up with the turquoise part of the main structure. Just line that up nicely. And it is going to take a little extra time to set since we're gluing it to acetate, but you shouldn't have a problem. Once it's in place, it will bond and bind, I should say. And there we go. Okay, so these are the ones that you can do beforehand. Now, we can't really, well, or can we? Well, you know what, actually I think we can. No, well, we don't want to. We don't want to put this last one on, because if we put this on first, okay, then the tab will show through on the inside, and we want it to look nice and clean on the inside. So this last one may be a little trickier to get into place because we have to actually assemble this and put it together and make it round and all together. But there's plenty of room in there from the top and the bottom to get your glue, so we'll be okay. So with that said, let's get our glue on this tab here, and we're going to close this piece up and make it all one solid shape. I'm going to go a little bit heavier on the glue here, just because I'm using a thicker paper that just needs a little extra glue. If you're using AC cardstock, you can just use the typical amount that you're used to using. Okay, and again, initially, you can actually put this down flat, grab the other end, and pop it into place like this while it's flat. Okay, so just line that up. It should sit completely flat as we're doing this. And just run your finger along that seam. I'm going to press this down for just a few seconds, then I'm going to take and fold it over onto itself, onto this seam, just to make sure that I've got everything properly lined up. So I'll take it and I'll pinch it here, and then fold it over like so, and then press that down. This whole thing should sit completely flat. There we go. And just continue applying pressure to that edge. For some reason, I noticed, I think I mentioned this in my videos before, sometimes when I get too much glue on my hand, it makes my nose itch. It's kind of weird. It's almost like it's irritating my skin. Yeah, I don't know. If you guys ever experience an itchy nose when you're using this glue, maybe leave a comment so I know I'm not the only one. It's a little strange. It doesn't always happen though, that's the thing. Okay, all right, so I think I got it. I did. There we go, looks good. Let's test it out and make sure that it fits, and it does. Beautiful. Okay, so now, as I mentioned, there's still one more panel in here where we need to apply glue for the acetate as well as the little green overlay. So you can take it and just kind of fold it into a rectangular shape, slightly, not completely. And we're going to take, and I'm going to go from both sides, just like we did before. We'll just do the dots around, and then I'll come in from the other side and do the same thing since the top is not in place yet. So we've got plenty of room here to work. It's a little inconvenient, but again, we want this to look nice and professional and clean so that you don't see the acetate. Okay, now when you grab your acetate, you may want to kind of grab it from the sides here, because if you grab it from here, it's going to flop over. So grab it and kind of pinch it so that you can pull it through, and then you can use your hand on the other side to help you get it nice and centered. Okay, so it might be a little wonky, but it's almost as if we're operating through like a bubble. Okay, but I got it perfect. Okay, so I'm going to take my finger here and start in the center and just press that down. I'll go in from the other side and just spread that all the way down, just like that. Beautiful. That worked. That wasn't so bad. Okay, and it looks like it did a good job. All right, so same thing with this. This one might be a little, no, that's fine. Again, this is my first time doing this, as it is probably yours. Now, obviously, I've had some input from my team, Diana, who took Ron's beautiful design and engineered it and actually prototyped the first one. She gave me some pointers here or there, but this is my first time doing it. And if it's my first time and I can make it, so can you. Okay, so we're just gonna pull it through. And again, just get that nice and aligned with the turquoise structure. And bam, there it is, just like that. And technically now, you can take this and just fold this flat and use the entire thing to press that down into place so that you don't have to stick your hands in there and potentially blemish it. So that was actually easier than I thought it would be. And now we have a perfect, seamless, nice glass effect lantern with beautiful panels inside covering up all that effort there. Okay, perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these little sections and we're going to glue them together. Now, as you can see here, we've got some funky shaped tabs. Okay, now they have to be this way. Otherwise, if they were solid tabs, you'd see them coming through these little triangular designs. So that's okay. But nevertheless, you still want to get your glue on these little tabs. So I'm just taking and doing some dots, very simple. And I'm going to kind of push it in a little bit and then get that lined up with the next one and just press and hold. Now again, I'm using this pearlescent paper. This is going to take me a few extra seconds of holding it in place for it to really grab. Yours should go a lot quicker if you're using AC cardstock. And if you are, at this point, I envy you because you don't have to sit here and wait for each little piece to set. My nose is super itchy right now. Okay, so we'll pull this one back and get our glue on the next tab. And we're just going to go all the way around until we get all of the tabs in place. Okay, I'm going to dab that a little bit just to kind of thin it out. Grab the next piece, lay it right on top so that the tab matches up with the design. Now you can see how it, even though it's tacky, it doesn't really want to hold with this paper. It's really weird. It's almost like they sprayed something on this that keeps it from grabbing the glue. It's almost as porous as the acetate in some sense. Actually, the acetate seems to be holding even better than this paper. So anyway, that's fine though. Again, it's just one of those things where depending on the type of paper you use, it may speed things up, it may slow things down. You just got to roll with the flow. Work with what you got. Okay, so the next one, again, these are kind of coming in at an angle, so make sure that you're getting it nice and matched up. And just hold that down and in place. Yep, and see, that one just kind of pulled right apart. There's this magic moment where it actually gets tacky enough to where it will actually bind and hold. But you can see when I rotate it how it's nice and sparkly. Looks really nice. Just kind of a little pain to work with, but it's okay. Okay, just moving right along here. Going, I don't know if this is clockwise or counterclockwise, doesn't really matter, just going in a circle, essentially. Okay, bring this piece down, match it up with the cutout, and press and hold. Yeah, I mean, after this, we're just building a little dome, and that's pretty much it. We're going to decorate this with, I think I did this on one of our most recent projects. We've got some bling on a roll. Okay, so we've got two left. Get our glue on there. And I'm just going to kind of thin that out a little bit. Seems to be helping with the amount of time it takes for me to get this going and making it stick. Okay. Yeah, and then the little dome on top, It's round, so of course with little round pieces like that, there's going to be a lot of tabs to work with, but it's not difficult. It's just kind of a repetitive thing. But that is when I talk about getting into like a creative paper crafting zen, that is really where you get into that mode. Now this last little tab, I'm going to actually use a scrap piece of paper to apply the glue to it so that I don't have to risk pulling this apart. So I just put a little bit of glue on the corner of a scrap piece of paper, and I'm just going to take and apply that glue with my scrap paper here, like that. And then that way I don't have to pull this thing apart. So just like we did the last few times, just line up that tab with the actual structure here and press and hold until it's fully set. And there we go. This one might go a little bit quicker actually. And there we go. Okay, so now these tabs at the top of the structure are what we're going to use to anchor the actual little dome to this section. So we can actually take these and kind of pop them upward, straight up, just to get them ready. I'm not doing anything with them just yet, but we will. Okay, so that's that. And there's really nothing else that we need to do to this thing, to this structure anyway. That's done. So all that's left is our little dome here. Now the dome has some structural components, which are these guys with the little tabs. And it does help to pre-fold everything at the folds here. You know, it seems kind of strange because it's kind of a delicate little piece, but you do want to do that. Okay, so again, just go through all these pieces, and you don't have to fold them over completely, but just loosen up the fibers at the folds, because when we start building this little structure, it will help for this thing to get into the proper formation as long as these tabs are, not these tabs, but the little score marks are loosened up a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to join all these together one at a time, and I think the best thing to do would be to start at the bottom. I think it's easiest to see where each one goes. I'm going to just do the bottom tab first, one at a time here. Okay, so just put some glue on that first tab, thin it out, grab another piece, identical piece, line that up, and it's okay if it's at a 90-degree angle initially, just to help you figure out where it needs to be. Okay, just like that. Okay, make sure it's nice and flush there at the bottom, and then we're going to go in here and just start applying glue to these tabs. And you can do one at a time if you want. I think because they're so thin, I could probably get away with doing like 3 at a time. I'll put glue on about 3 tabs, thin it out nicely, nice and thin. And then you just want to take that tab. I got my finger on it on the inside, and I'm lining it up with the back of the next section here and just kind of squeezing it into place. I'll show you the back of it here in just one moment. Okay, and you want to just kind of follow the natural curve that is created there when these two sections are aligned. So you can see here, I've got 4 tabs now glued down, okay? And that just leaves 1. And by all means, you know what? I think that once we get that first tab anchored, I bet you we could probably just do all of them at the same time, or just in one fell swoop, at least get the glue on them, okay? So it helps to take this little triangular piece and move it out of the way and just line that up. Okay, so we've got 2 of these connected. The remainder of the process is going to be the same. So we're going to start by putting glue on just the bottom tab so that we can get it anchored. I'm going to thin that out nicely, just so that when I grab this next piece and line it up, it will set nice and quick for me. Get that nice and aligned. Should be nice and flush at the bottom, and just hold that first initial tab in place for just a few moments and let it set. Now while you're working on this, you notice when I mentioned that it's a good idea to kind of loosen up the score marks, how it helps it kind of get into its final shape that much easier. You can see what I mean by that. All right, now we're going to fold these tabs in. Last time I only did 3. I'm going to do all 4. It's so thin, so small that you should have no problem with it. And don't forget to thin that glue out a little bit, because when you're working with this little of a surface area on a tab, you should be able to just give it one press, one little squeeze, and it should take. It really should. Okay, so with my finger back there, grabbing the tab, I'm getting that aligned with the next section and pressing, and there you go. Grabbing the next tab, pressing it into place, and there you go. Moving all the way up to the third one, press, hold, good, and the last one. Just make sure that, again, you're kind of curving it along with just the natural shape that we have there. Okay, so halfway done. And you can see what that looks like from the inside, all the tabs nicely glued together. Okay, moving on here to the next one, we're going to start again by anchoring just the bottom tab. Get your glue on there. Going to dab that a little bit. Grab the next piece, get that lined up, and press and hold. Give that a few seconds to set. And there we go. We fold these tabs in, and I think, like I said, I'm pretty confident we can get away with doing all 4 of these. They're so small. Don't need a lot of glue. Spread that glue out onto those tabs, thin it out. That will help everything set a lot faster as well. And grab that tab from behind, line it up with the neighbor. And you can see actually the little horizontal score marks help you figure out where that tab goes as well. So that's super handy. And there we go, just like that. And then we'll put the panels on. Okay, so back to this, starting off with the bottom tab. Gonna get that anchored first and then do the rest. So get some glue on that bottom tab, grab your next piece, line it up, making sure it's nice and flush with the bottom. Okay, just press and hold that for just a moment. Let it set. Okay, then we can take and flip this over and press those tabs down. You guys can see that, yeah. The light's hitting it nicely. Putting a little bit of glue on my tabs here and spreading that glue nice and thin. Get your fingers in there and just pressing that tab up against the inside of this next structure here that we just grabbed. Nice and quick, shouldn't take long as you are not overdoing it with the glue. If you're not able to move as fast as I am, chances are you've got way too much glue on there, and when you have a lot of glue, sometimes it has no place to go and it just stays wet. It will eventually dry, but you're gonna be waiting a while, okay? All right, so almost done here with that. Now we can kind of stretch this out a little bit. We need to give ourselves a little bit of room. And just like we did before, we're going to start by anchoring it to the bottom tab, thin that out, grab the next piece, line it up, and press and hold. Give that a few seconds. Okay, there we go. And push those tabs down. Get your glue on these 4 tabs here. Go easy with the glue. Just doing some dots, nothing crazy. There we go. And press that down into place. All right, moving on up, and then the last step is going to be pretty much the same. we're just taking this final piece and joining it to the original piece, and we should be able to do that without any problems. The bottom of this is nice and wide open, should have no problem getting our fingers in there. But let's just do it like we've been doing it. Let's anchor that first piece first. So tuck that in and behind. Again, making sure that the bottom is nice and flush, nice and lined up, and press and hold. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of easy. Very cool little piece. And even if you want to do like a nice little summary table. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing here is because this other piece is sort of in the way, might be a little tougher to get your glue bottle in there, but I seem to be doing okay. If you need to, you can always, at this point, use a scrap piece of paper to thin that glue out and spread it out. That's fine too. That's working fine, okay? And just like I did before, line it up with the next piece, get that tab in there, press and hold, and just moving right along here. It's going pretty quick. Here we go, and the last one, voila. Okay, perfect. So yeah, it's a little repetitive, but it's okay. I mean, we are taking a flat piece of paper and crafting it into something that's, well, technically round. Okay, so we've got this together now, and we got to put this piece on just to kind of help it hold its shape. And what I want to do is I'm going to put glue on just one of these triangles first up at the top, and we're going to take and anchor this just to one of them first. Okay, so take this and line it up like so, and just press and hold that in place. Make sure you get it nice and centered. Now technically this is going to be covered up at the end, so if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. But at this point we want to take and put glue on the remaining triangles. Okay, and we're going to close it up. I'm going to take and just kind of dab that glue out to the edge. Doesn't have to be perfect because we've got a couple more layers going over this anyway, but go ahead and close it up. Try to line it up with this side first, and then if you need to kind of scooch things around, that's okay. Press that down and you can flip it over and push down on the remaining tabs inside for it to completely grab a hold. Okay, so now we can take this piece, we're going to take this and pop it right on like so. And then from the inside, we are going to have to get our glue in there. We need to glue that down. Okay, so you can get your hand all the way in there. And what I'm going to do, I'll show you here. We'll just have to take it one step at a time. I'm going to leave all these folded up except for one at a time. We'll start off by just doing this one here, like so. And we'll just throw some glue on this tab. You don't have to worry about getting the glue all the way out to the edge or anything like that. We just need it to hold in general. Okay, so we're going to pop that back on top. Make sure all the tabs are in, and that you don't want any of them sticking out. And then take your hand and put it in there, and then just press up against this section here. Make sure it's nice and flush down here, and just press and hold that in place. And I think technically we can still flip this over to get glue on one more tab. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, but this is the point of no return here. So we can do this now one more time, but the rest of them we'll have to apply our glue from the inside to get the rest of them to hold. So you can flip this one up and close it up again. And I'm actually doing the side opposite of the side that I just did. And if that didn't make any sense, I'll explain here in just a second. Make sure it's nice and flush there at the bottom, and just press and hold that in place. Okay, so this is the side I'm doing now. The side I did first was this side, the complete opposite side. Okay, so make sure you kind of jump back and forth. Now technically that is actually holding, but obviously we want it to be very structurally sound. So just go up here, and which one, did I glue that one already? No, I did not. So pull one of these tabs down, okay, and I'm trying to show you from the inside here. There it is, you can see it. I'm gonna grab a dowel or a pencil. There's the tab that I just pulled down. Okay, I'm gonna put glue on, not this side, the visible side, but the other side of that tab. Okay, it's gonna be kind of difficult for you to see, but I'm just squeezing a little bit of glue right on that tab. Let's see if you can see that. All right, there's the tab right there. You're looking through the window here. I'll pull this down and you can see the glue on there, right there. Okay, and I'm gonna just take our hand, push that tab up and against this pink piece. In my case, it's pink. And there we go. Okay, so that wasn't tough at all, actually. It was very simple. All right, and then we're just gonna go through, and I think we've got, what, 3 more tabs left? So we'll pull one more down, and I'll show you again. There's the tab that I just pulled down right here. You can see it through the window, right there. We'll put glue on that surface. Let me get my glue out to the very tip here. And I'm just spreading some glue right on that tab. I went a little heavy on the glue that time. It's okay, just wipe it off. Go back in here. This is the side I'm working on. Push that tab up and press it up against the inside of this piece here. Okay, so we're going to continue doing that with the rest of the tabs. Just kind of feel around, find the ones that are not glued. So there's my next one here. You can see it right here, pointing to it, tapping it. I'll move it for you so you can see. There it is. So not on this surface, but on the other side is where we're going to put the glue. And I'll show you here. We'll pull it down. And it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be beautiful. You just need to get a little bit of glue on there. And try not to overdo it, just like I did just now. I'm going to pull some of that glue off that I got on there. We don't need all that glue. Okay, and we're going to push it up and against the inside of this section. And there we go, just like that. Got a little glue on my hands there. Just wipe it off so you don't make a mess anywhere else. Okay, so I think 1, 2, 3, 4, I got one left. Yep, just one more tab left. Get our glue on that tab. Of course, I went a little crazy on the glue there. That's okay. And just press that into place. All right, so that's that, and that just leaves the little panels that we're going to put on top of this to make it look more round. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do here is literally just glue these on, and many of you have already done something similar to this. I'll put this down flat. We're going to start at the top, and then we're going to bring it down. Now, if you want, you can actually take a little dowel and just kind of give it a little bit of a curve so it's not so flat. It'll be easier to work with if you just kind of train it a little bit. So I'm taking this piece and putting it between my finger and the dowel, and then kind of bringing it up and then running the dowel through it. And that's how I'm adding the little curve to it. This is going to make it so much easier to work with since this is such a small piece. We're working with very few fibers in the paper, and they're so tight knit that it takes a lot more force to, you know, kind of bend them and mold them. So you can see here, just like that, it's already fitting on nicely, and it's not fighting me at all. And what we can do is just take some glue. Now this glue is just pouring out like Niagara Falls. And get your glue on there. Make sure you get glue all the way out to the bottom as well as the top. We want that to look nice and flush on both the top and bottom. And start at the top. Get it nice and centered. I'm going to do it this way so you can see better. Make sure it's centered on that section. Hold that down and then just bring it down to the bottom as well. And there you go. Just like that. You can kind of hit the sides on your way down as well so that they're sitting nice and flush as well. And there you go. Okay. So we're just going to move on to the next one. Definitely make sure you get enough glue at the very top and at the very bottom, as those are the two sections that are most likely to come kind of peeling away. And if you need to, just kind of spread it all the way out there. You'll notice that I've actually embossed this as well. And sometimes when you emboss, well, the glue doesn't always sit as uniformly as you would like it to, and that's okay. You just have to work with it. And again, make sure it's nice and aligned with the top and bring it all the way down to the bottom. And then while you're doing that, check the sides and make sure that they are nice and flat up against the main structure as well. If you need to, you can kind of put your hand in here and push from the back to help it get into place, but that is actually very easy. This is going together quicker than I thought. Okay, back to the next one. Work a little bit of that glue down the sides. There we go. Watch out for excess glue on your fingers. Okay, line that up with the top. And make sure it's centered. Ideally, you'll kind of meet up with each of the sides here and it'll look nice and seamless. If you need to pop your hand inside to get some leverage, you can do that, but that looks perfect. All right, this is coming out great. All right, we're almost done here, guys. Got a few more little things to, one more, actually just a little topper, the topper for the lantern. And then we're done. Okay, again, making sure that I've got plenty of glue there at the bottom and the top. And get that nice and centered on this section. And you can see here with the embossing how it really gives it a nice, I don't want to call it vintage since it's Moroccan, but I guess it is, I mean, I guess it is vintage. It's, you know, it's old architecture, and this embossing folder just really gives it almost like a metalworking sort of look, because you know, these lanterns would probably be made out of metal. It's like a metal embossing. Okay, so that just leaves two more panels, and then we just have our little topper, and we can call it a day. Let's get our glue on this guy here. Yeah, and I'm just actually getting over a cold from last week. It's been crazy here. We're trying to get this new website launched just so that we can grow. We've been growing so much that we're outgrowing our site, and we've had to turn off some of the features on our site because when we get too much traffic, it can't handle it. So thanks to you guys for helping us grow. I would definitely, you know, the old saying, growing pains. This is definitely some growing pains, but absolutely worth it, and will help us provide you guys the best possible experience for years to come with no headaches on my part, hopefully. I've got a great group of very, very intelligent guys that know everything about websites and development and coding and all that stuff, and I'm actually learning quite a bit too. I probably won't need to know much of that, but it is very empowering learning new things. You know, that's same goes with crafting. Making beautiful things is very empowering as well, especially if you can share them with other people and, you know, bring other people joy through your creations. And that's why we're here today. So thank you for joining me, obviously. All right, let's spread that all the way out. But a cold has never stopped me from living life and being productive. I rarely, knock on wood, am out and down for the count. Last time that happened, I think it was coronavirus, but I was only down for about a day and a half. And I was right back into the swing of things. Okay, so that's it for this. And now we, like I said, have a little topper that we need to put on top. I'll show you how that works. Okay, so it's actually this guy here, And what we're going to do, there are some little scallops on here, and the scallops are actually going to go on each of these little sections. Okay, but before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to glue the little donut section back to back, like so. Okay, we're not going to do anything else but glue the little donut sections back to back. So let's do that. Okay, just line them up first, back to back, and then can actually, you know, it may help to just do this flat, because in that way you can actually take and align the scallops. I don't have any glue beyond this little score line here, just here, but I'm kind of using it, I'm putting it down flat like this so I can make sure I have it nice and centered. And as you can see, when I peel it back, that's what I end up with. Okay, so here is the first part of this. Now we can take and fold these little scallops down. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue this to the top, and then we're going to glue the scallops to the side. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean here. This is going to get glued to the top, and each scallop should match up with one of these side pieces. Okay, just like that. So let's do that real quick. All we're going to do is we're going to put glue. Actually, you know what? We may be able to do this in one fell swoop here. Get your glue on that whole center piece. And then let's get some glue on the scallops. I think we can do it. And if not, we can always go in and use the little painting method. But I am going to take and dab these nice and thin. Like that. Okay, just want to make sure we get it nice and centered as well. So here, I'm going to just do this. I'm going to look at this real quick, and then I'll show you what I did. And I'm actually using the little folds for each of the scallops to help me with the placement on this. Okay, so let me show you here what I mean. Let me just get it in place real quick, and then I'll share it here. There we go. Okay, so it goes on just like that. And each of these little scallops should be center on each of these little overlays. That actually went on pretty effortlessly. Okay, so that's what that should look like. If you need to push up from the inside, you can do that. And then all that's left to do, we have one more little overlay that goes on top of that green piece. You'll notice that on each of these panels, there's a little marker there. Okay, and that marker is for these little guys. I'll put one of them on. So just kind of tuck that. Actually, it should be pointing up like so. That's going to go right there between those little markers. Okay, so you just want to kind of glue those down right onto that section there. Okay, just like that. There's going to be a total of 6 of those. So you're going to do one on each side. And then to finish this off, we have a little gold overlay for this little green piece here. That's going to go on like so. Okay, so you actually need to put glue on both sections, the donut piece as well as the little bottom piece. Okay, so let's do that real quick. Just like that. Okay, so of course you want to match up the centers of the hole, and that should be nice and flush, and then just pop that right into place, nice and centered on there. Let me pop this up real quick. I'll show you the final result here in a second. Okay, that looks good. Got that in place. Okay, so that's what that should look like. It's just kind of like a little gold accent for the green. And we'll do the same thing on the other side, and that is going to put an end, or that will be the end, not put an end. That sounds kind of macabre. Get your glue on the little donut section, and then on the flat section, and do the same thing on this side here. And just pop that right into place. Get the little holes aligned, and then press down on the top. And there we go. Okay, and that's it. And I don't know if I have a battery. No, I don't have the battery in there, but you'll see this all nice and lit up. Take a look at the final photo so you can kind of see what other little embellishments we added. Like I said, I've got some bling on a roll that we're gonna put up at the top, and then probably some around the very bottom here just to really bling this up. And throw a little electronic tea light in there. You don't want to burn the house down or burn your project that we just, spent 40 minutes working on, obviously. And what else? Oh yeah, and again, don't forget to put the rest of these around, all the way around, and that's pretty much it. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video and the project. If you did, please take a moment and visit our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, hit the little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release a new product, whether it be paid or free. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I would love to see it, and so would the almost 30,000 other dreamers that inspire us in our Facebook group. So head over to your Facebook, do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can type in this little URL that you see here at the bottom of your screen. So anyway, fun, quick little project. I had a blast. I hope you did too. And as always, I look forward to crafting with you again.